Hey everyone, it's Parston here. What if I told you some of the things you learned in school were completely wrong? Get ready to have your mind blown as we debunk some of the most common myths from your school days. We're diving deep into the history books and the science labs to separate fact from fiction. Buckle up, because we're about to expose 10 false facts you learned in school that were anything but true. Let's kick things off with a classic, the myth that the Great Wall of China is the only human-made structure visible from space. It sounds cool, right? The problem is, it's totally bogus. From space, that's like trying to spot a single hair on a football field. Astronauts have confirmed that, while they can see cities and other large structures from orbit, the Great Wall is practically invisible to the naked eye. Even with high-powered telescopes, it's tough to make out because it blends in with the surrounding landscape. So the next time someone tries to impress you with their knowledge of the Great Wall's visibility from space, you can hit them with some actual facts. Okay, get ready for this one, because it's a doozy. You've probably heard that humans only use 10% of their brains. The truth is, we use our entire brain. Neuroscientists have proven this through brain imaging techniques like fMRI scans, which show that all areas of the brain are active, even when we're sleeping. Different parts of the brain are responsible for different functions, from language and memory to movement and emotions. So, the next time you hear someone talking about unlocking their hidden brain power, remember that you're already using 100% of your amazing brain. Chameleons are fascinating creatures, known for their ability to change color. But here's the thing, they're not changing color to blend in with their surroundings like we were taught in school. They use their color-changing abilities as a form of communication, to regulate their body temperature and to express their mood. Think of it like this. A chameleon's skin is like a mood ring. When they're feeling threatened, they might turn bright red or yellow to warn off predators. When they're trying to attract a mate, they might display vibrant patterns of green, blue, and orange. These reptiles are using their color-changing abilities to navigate their social world and express themselves in ways we're only beginning to understand. All right, let's talk about Christopher Columbus. For centuries, he's been hailed as the hero who discovered America. But as we're learning more and more, history is often written by the victors, and the real story is often much more complicated. First of all, Columbus didn't discover America. Indigenous people had been living in North and South America for thousands of years before he arrived. Columbus never even set foot on what is now the mainland United States. Viking explorer Leif Erikson is believed to have landed in Newfoundland, Canada, about 500 years before Columbus. It's time to reframe our understanding of history and acknowledge the true story of the Americas, one that recognizes the rich history and cultures of the indigenous people who were here long before Columbus set sail. Have you ever heard that water drains clockwise in the northern hemisphere and counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere? It's a popular misconception. The supposed culprit is the Coriolis effect, a real phenomenon that influences the rotation of large weather systems like hurricanes. However, the Coriolis effect is far too weak to influence the direction of water swirling down a drain or toilet bowl. The direction of the swirl depends on factors like the shape of the basin, the direction the water is poured, and even tiny imperfections in the surface. Think about it. Your bathroom sink is not a giant hurricane. This myth is often perpetuated by well-meaning science teachers trying to illustrate the Coriolis effect in a relatable way. So, the next time you're washing your hands, don't worry about which way the water is swirling. It's not a matter of geography, it's just physics. Napoleon Bonaparte, the legendary French military leader and emperor, is often depicted as a short man with a fiery temper. But here's the thing, Napoleon wasn't actually short, at least not by the standards of his time. He was about 5'6" or 1.69 meters tall, which was considered average height for a Frenchman in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. It's partly due to differences in measurement systems between France and England. The French paus, or inch, was slightly longer than the British inch, leading to some confusion when Napoleon's height was converted. Additionally, British propagandists during the Napoleonic Wars often portrayed him as short and stocky in cartoons, using his height to mock and undermine him. The myth of his shortness persists, proving that sometimes even the most enduring historical narratives can be based on inaccuracies. Blind as a bat. It's a common saying implying that bats are completely blind, but guess what? It's another one of those pervasive myths that we need to set straight. Bats are not blind. In fact, many species of bats can see quite well, especially in low-light conditions. While it's true that bats are famous for their use of echolocation, a remarkable ability that allows them to navigate and hunt in complete darkness, this doesn't mean they don't use their eyes. Bats use echolocation to create a sound map of their surroundings by emitting high-pitched sounds and listening for the echoes that bounce back. However, their eyesight is far from useless. Bats use a combination of sight and sound to navigate their world, making them even more impressive creatures than we thought. Lightning never strikes the same place twice, right? Wrong. This is another myth that has somehow managed to persist despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Lightning is a powerful and unpredictable force of nature, and it can and does strike the same place multiple times. In fact, tall structures like skyscrapers, radio towers, and even trees are more likely to be struck by lightning repeatedly, especially during thunderstorms. The Empire State Building, for example, is struck by lightning an average of 25 times per year. The myth that lightning doesn't strike twice probably stems from the rarity of being struck by lightning in the first place. So, the next time you hear someone say lightning never strikes twice, you can tell them that it's not just possible, it happens all the time. Remember that diagram of the tongue with different sections labeled for sweet, sour, salty, and bitter tastes? It was a staple of elementary school science classes, but it turns out it's a complete myth. The idea that different areas of the tongue are responsible for tasting specific tastes is wrong. While it's true that some areas of the tongue might be slightly more sensitive to certain tastes, all parts of the tongue can detect all 5 basic tastes. Those tastes are sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and the often forgotten 5th taste, umami, which is a savory or meaty taste. The myth of taste zones can be traced back to a mistranslation of a German research paper from the early 20th century. So, the next time you enjoy a delicious meal, remember that your entire tongue is working together to allow you to experience the full range of flavors. Vikings, the fierce Scandinavian warriors of the 8th to 11th centuries, are often depicted wearing horned helmets. It's an iconic image that has been popularized in movies, TV shows, and even sports team logos. But there's one major problem. There's absolutely no historical evidence to support this depiction. Not a single horned helmet from the Viking Age has ever been discovered by archaeologists. In fact, the only authentic Viking helmet ever found is a simple, rounded helmet made of iron, offering protection without any elaborate adornments. The truth is that Viking warriors were pragmatic and would have found horned helmets impractical and dangerous in battle. So, while the horned Viking helmet might make for a striking visual, it's important to remember that it's a product of artistic license, not historical accuracy. So, there you have it. 10 facts you learned in school that turned out to be complete bunk. From the Great Wall of China to Christopher Columbus, chameleons to taste buds, we've debunked some of the most persistent myths that have somehow managed to worm their way into our collective consciousness. The truth is, history and science are constantly evolving. What we thought we knew yesterday might be proven wrong tomorrow. That's what makes learning so exciting. It's a lifelong journey of discovery, and sometimes it means unlearning things we thought were true. So the next time you hear something that sounds a little fishy, don't be afraid to question it. Do your own research, consult credible sources, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo.